Happy Sunday out there in Big Orange Country. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange Sports Channel. The news keeps on coming for Tennessee. I was actually in the midst of getting ready to record a remaining targets video for football, and I see it pop up. Tennessee has flipped Jaden Harmon from Alabama, linebacker. I was just going to talk. We talked yesterday on here when we did the David Sanders video. We talked. That was one of the positions we thought Tennessee needed to add more at was linebacker. Of course, Tennessee adds the big fish yesterday, David Sanders Jr. To me, at that point, it left your board of needing, I think, another running back and at least another linebacker. Those two stood out to me the most. Tennessee's now got two linebackers in the fold. Jaden Harmon has flipped to Tennessee. Depending on where you look at it with him and his rankings, he is a consensus, according to On3, 24/7, ESPN, and Rivals, ranking anywhere from 127 on ESPN. On3 has him 129. Rivals 193, 24/7 has him 231. So they all have him 4 stars. He is a consensus 4-star, 61205, Rome, Georgia. Had been committed to Alabama. I'd seen where Tennessee was working on him. It was said in this that Brian Jean Marie had Tennessee in pretty good standing on this one, but once he left to go to Michigan, that kind of turned Harmon. I guess it turned him off of Tennessee a bit, but William Inge come in. He's kept working. He's kept on this one. Alabama has a lot of linebacker commits as well. Tennessee keeps working it. They keep working it, and Jaden Harmon is now in the fold. Big commitment for Tennessee. Another one that makes commitment number 23. I'll be curious to see when they update it if that puts Tennessee in the top 5 or not. But let's look at some highlights of him here as well. So his junior year, I got to wait on the video to skip here. All right, so let's pull up some highlights of him as well as he goes along with Christian Gass. So that gives them 2 linebacker commits. Let's take a look at some highlights here, and we'll kind of look at that along the way. Again, this is from his junior year, Rome, Georgia. 80 tackles, 8 tackles for us, 5 sacks as well. So here he is on the edge coming in. And we'll talk, nice job getting the strip. We'll talk about that speed here in just a moment. As you say, he's basically playing the nickel position right here. I like the versatility. I like that he's able to get out and cover because that's something that has been a problem with Tennessee. Boom. Lays the hit. That's especially these balls out in the flats. You know, that was not a great look here. It goes unblocked. Good speed. Goes over all the way over and makes the tackle on this one as well. Still watching this. This dude is, again, give me just a minute. Once we wrap these up, we'll talk about his speed because they do have an impact analysis that talks about that. I mean, the guy's getting to the quarterback. You know, what's a good weight for him? 6'1", 205. You can see he's definitely a little lighter here as of now, but you got to think once he gets to that college weight room, 220, 230 is an ideal weight and should enable him to maintain his speed as well. Now you start getting up in the 240s, 50s, it could affect his speed. That 220 to 230 range is good. Here you go again. I love this. This has been a black eye. This has been a weakness for Tennessee. You go back, how many years now that Tennessee, I mean, this goes back to the Jeremy Pruitt era, if not further, Tennessee not being able to defend the flats, not being able to defend the middle of the field. It's the last couple of years to me, not being able to defend the flats was a big one. That South Carolina game 2 years ago, I mean, if that does not stand out to you, I don't know what does. And there's numerous times last year as well. I mean, we talked about Elijah Herring who left. I think he could have grown to become a good linebacker at Tennessee, but it wasn't guaranteed for him. And where did he struggle? Coverage. He struggled in coverage on that. This is some good highlights that really encourages me on this. And I thought Tennessee, I feel that's been an Achilles heel of Tennessee is covering out in the flats. Again, I go back to South Carolina 2 years ago when they absolutely wore Tennessee out, did what they wanted. And it was nothing. I mean, Spencer Rattler was unreal that night. I give him credit on, but also just out in the flats. Tennessee's linebackers could not do anything with it. And South Carolina receivers had their way as well. It was just an awful night, but to me, I love seeing this, a guy with speed. And I said I was going to talk about that speed here in just a moment. According to, now this was prior to him flipping to Tennessee. VolQuest had caught up with Rome's head coach John Reed, and he says he started to grow and really bought into the weight and speed development. Said his coach says right now he's at 218. Now this was a little while back, but said the thing you will notice on film, he does not just tackle people, he makes them disappear. We just saw that looking at his film. He can hit. He will hit you. He hits. He's a rarity. He's a pass rusher. He can play inside backer. He can play out in the field. He can play safety. His first track meet, he ran a 10.9 at 218 pounds. He ran 4.5 or better in all of the times he has run. He is relentless in coverage and pursuit. He is a guy, this is from his quote. I love this. He is a guy where if we have a day off where we aren't lifting or doing something, he gets pissed off. The coaches at Tennessee are going to love him. He's one of the first ones there and last ones to leave. He studies the game. He just gets it. He understands what he's going against. He knows what the offense and what he is doing. So you look at this now. You give Harmon, you give Christian Gass to the fold. That is two high caliber linebackers for this cycle. The only linebacker you're losing from the current team is Keenan Pili. So you're continuing to stack this linebacker room. You have Arion Carter. You have Jeremiah T-Lander, Caleb Perry. You have some of your younger guys. How are they going to come along as well? This linebacker room. The key to Tennessee, and I did a video a while back, and I'll link this one at the end if you want to check it out. I asked the question, can a Josh Heupel team have an elite defense? Yes, but it requires depth. You can't just have top-level depth and then a fall-off on it. It's requiring depth 2 to 3 deep, kind of like your Alabamas have been, kind of like your Georgias have been, your Ohio State. I think they're pretty close to that now as well. But you stack that depth on defense. You look at what Tennessee's defensive line is this year. It is stacked with depth. You look at their linebackers right now. It needs more depth, in my opinion, more proven depth. Their secondary, they have a lot of players, but they have a lot of unproven. Next year, to me, if this secondary takes the steps that we feel that it should, if Tim Banks and Willie Martinez do their jobs as coaches, they develop, they progress these guys, because you don't lose anybody. You lose no one in the secondary. Well, now you're losing Will Brooks. Now, so I'm wrong on that one. But other than that, you're not losing any of your guys that are your big factors. Now, will you lose some to attrition? Sure. Yeah, you got to always factor for attrition, losing people through the portal. That could happen at any position on the team. You continue to build this, continue to develop. Here in a couple years, this Josh Heupel team, it's getting to the point. They're stacking quarterbacks on the offensive side. You added David Sanders. You added an elite, the best offensive tackle in America. You have Hurd coming back next year. You've added Douglas Utu. They're going to add talent. They're adding tight end talent. They're adding wide receiver talent. To me, the secondary, the linebackers, the running backs, that's where you got to continue to stack depth and quality depth at that. I think they need more at running back. I'm not going to lie about it. Dylan Sampson after that. I mean, Cam Seldon, I would feel confident with him, but he's been hurt. Peyton Lewis, they're high on. Deshaun Bishop, they've talked a lot about. They talked about Khalifa Keith the other day, but I still think you need more depth there. I like how this linebacker room's shaping up. I like how the secondary's shaping up. Who's left on the board at this point? 23 in the fold. I think there's a real good possibility come Friday it's going to be 24 with Onus Konambani. So that's another secondary that adds. They've added a lot of help in the secondary during this class to add to what they have coming back next year. Are there any flip candidates out there? They're trying with Dwayne Morris, running back out of Murfreesboro. Will they continue to try with Jaden Perlotti, or did this end that pursuit of them? Will they take another linebacker if Perlotti wanted in the fold? What about an Isaiah Gibson? This is a guy who was committed to USC, flipped his commitment to Georgia here within the last few months, but he's elite. He's an elite guy, and Tennessee can be selective moving forward with 23 and getting ready to be 24 in the fold as early as Friday, in my opinion, on it. This is uncharted territory because normally you're using these fall visits to get guys in to try to get them in the fold. Tennessee's way ahead of schedule. This new calendar with official visits has kind of changed things. So do you use the fall for 2026 and beyond, and guys you're trying to flip? I mean, you obviously have to continue to keep your current commits in the fold. Will there be guys leave and go somewhere else? I mean, it's always possible. It is always possible. But I'll be honest, when I look at it now, I'm not aware of any Tennessee commitments who may flip. You can never count it out in recruiting, but there is no one who stands out to me with it. You got to keep what you've got in the fold, but you want to continue to add as well to it. I mean, the main thing is you have to stay below that scholarship limit. They're going to up it, but I'm not sure exactly when that goes into effect right now. So that's going to be a game changer. Tennessee's going to need to add through the portal. I think you can always withstand to add one or two offensive linemen. Where else could that, I expect receiver, possibly running back. If Dylan Sampson has the year we think he does, he goes pro after this year. I could see Tennessee adding through the portal at running back. Somebody could and should have an opportunity to come in and get. I say could. I'm not going to say should. Could. If these guys develop, the dudes who are on campus, your Seldons, your Peyton Lewis, your Deshaun Bishops, your Khalifa Keats, you add Justin Baker to the fold. Can they get Dwayne Morris on campus and flip him possibly? Is there somebody else out there they could get on campus? Because I think it's realistic to think with around 4 months till early signing day, there could be more candidates that Tennessee gets in on. Who off the top of my head, I don't have anybody. I mean, the obvious to me is Perlotti and Isaiah Gibson, but that's just based on past recruitments. That's nothing I'm saying is imminent, nothing I'm reading on that. That's just guys who are the obvious standouts to me. Do they continue to swing with those guys, or are they good moving on? We'll see, but 2 great days for Tennessee. I love this commitment. I love the Jaden Harmon commitment. Obviously love the David Sanders commitment. Tennessee is rolling right now in recruiting. And again, what's left for this recruiting cycle, I think maintaining and then being selective. You can be selective at this point for Tennessee. You've got a big base of 24 in place. To me, you don't just add to add. You go elite. Moving forward, if there's more you need to add after the season, go to the portal on it. Keep what you got in the fold. Start building on 26, which they're already doing right now. You hopefully started a bit of a pipeline yesterday at Providence Day in Charlotte. And because there's going to be big-time prospects coming. There's at least 2 for next year, if not more. And but I'll keep updated on that along the way. Onus Konabani, Friday. That's been a battle with Florida State, but I think it's one Tennessee. Based on everything I've read, Tennessee, I believe, will win that one in the end. But it is recruiting. It's never for sure. The only thing that's for sure in recruiting is the unsure. We'll be live with you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. We'll talk. We're definitely going to talk depth chart on the football team. We'll talk recruiting, and we'll see what other topics. We're in football mode on here right now. If anything recruiting wise breaks in any kind of basketball or baseball or something, I'll bring you update on that. Any other kind of news, but other than that, we're going to focus solely on football right now, and then we'll get to basketball when it's time. But I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Before you go out, if you want to check out the membership tiers, I have 3 of them available on here. If there's something you're like, if you had this available, I might consider. Leave me a comment. Leave me a comment as to what would interest you on the channel. Because definitely used support from the channel to go back into the channel. $1 a month Patreon is available. It's just a recurring $1 fee. Just goes to help support the channel. And then as well, there is the super thanks option as well. But I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday. Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. And last but most certainly not least, go Vols.
Everyone rejects me.